Every program that you see around you is built on top of data, and this is the very reason it is important to understand how the data is stored. And for that, we have data types. And in respect to the language Java, we must know that the language is statically typed, which means that you have to explicitly declare the type of data, for example, integer or boolean or byte. And the data types in Java are further classified into two different types, which is the primitive and non-primitive, or which is also called as the reference type of data. And primitive, under primitive, we have non-numeric and numeric type. In non-numeric, we have Boolean and character. Boolean, as you know, it's true or false, and character. And in numeric type, we have further classification into integer and floating point. Integers, it's not to be confused with the integer and int, because they are classified into byte, short, int, and long on the uh, criteria of the size. For example, byte has the size of 2 to the power 8. It is if I I go into detail, but I should know it's minus 1 and 128 to 127. And then we have the floating point, which are essentially the decimal numbers, and the size here represents the significant digits we can hold, and the size as well. And then the non we have different non-primitive data types as well: string, arrays, classes, objects, interfaces. All of these are example of non-primitive data types. Let's look into detail in what are primitive data types. So, it is important to understand the default values in case of primitive data types. Boolean has the default value of false. Byte, short, int, long, float, and double. Each of it have 0 as the default value assigned to them. And talking about the size, byte has the size of 1 byte, character 2 bytes, short as well 2 bytes, integer we have 4 bytes, long we have 8 bytes, float and double we have 4 and 8 bytes. Yes. The interesting part here is the char data type, where we have the default value which looks kind of complicated, or maybe you can say it is something you are uh, not familiar with, or you're seeing for the first time. What essentially it is that it is a Unicode character that points to 0. It is not to be confused with null, because null, it is not null. Null is a different thing. And what essentially we mean when we write this, it is that it is pointing to 0, but if you print it, it is going to be invisible. It won't give you a null exception. And if you try to compare it with the same value, you will get the boolean type as true, and that is how it works. Now, talking about the aspect of size, you can see the range of byte is in minus 128 to 127. So consider you have declaring a integer that is 128. You can't use byte to store the integer 128 because it is out of its range. So you will have to shift to a bigger data type that can hold values like 128. And coming to the part of non-primitive data types, we have string, class, object, interface, array. All of this I'm going to cover in detail in the later upcoming videos of this series. That's it for this video. Have a great day.